Now, once we reach the level of the bronchiole, the wall of the bronchiole will no longer contain either cartilage or the seromucous glands. Surrounding the entire bronchiole will be fascicles of smooth muscle that are tightly bound together by elastic fibers. The epithelium still contains columnar ciliated epithelial cells, but this epithelium is no longer pseudostratified. It tends to be a simple cuboidal arrangement rather than that seen in most of the rest of the conducting portion of the respiratory system. In addition, the epithelial lining of this portion of the airway not only has ciliated cells, because the goblet and basal cells are absent, there's an additional cell type that's gotten a lot of attention recently that's intermingled among the ciliated cells and becomes particularly prominent in the terminal bronchioles, and this additional cell type is known as a Clara cell. Clara cells are very busy cells. Number one, they are non-ciliated, and they secrete a serous solution that is very similar to surfactant that's produced by type 2 pneumocytes. They aid in the detoxification of airborne toxins, meaning that they contain enzymes that are part of the cytochrome P450 system. And in addition, they serve as stem cells for not only themselves, but for the ciliated cells, particularly in the terminal part of a bronchiole. The number of Clara cells increases in response to an increase in levels of pollutants like cigarette smoke. And as we said, they are most prominent in the terminal bronchioles, where they make up about 80% of the epithelial lining. And in addition, we now know that they are also involved in chloride ion transport into the lumas of the terminal bronchioles, and that, again, a defect in that chloride transporter is part of the cause of a patient that develops cystic fibrosis. Here is a histologic section of a terminal bronchiole. The of the terminal bronchiole is marked by the asterisk. Note that the epithelium now is a simple cuboidal epithelium consisting of the ciliated cuboidal, in this case, columnar epithelial cells, and the rounded cells shown at the tips of the arrows mark the location of the Clara cells. Note that at the end of this terminal bronchiole, it becomes a respiratory bronchiole with the same epithelial lining, but a respiratory bronchiole is periodically interrupted by alveolar ducts and sacs, as indicated by the arrowheads. Cystic fibrosis, as we mentioned briefly, results in abnormally thick mucus, in part due to defective chloride transport by Clara cells, as well as ducts of gland cells elsewhere. COPD affects the bronchioles mainly and includes emphysema and asthma. Emphysema is characterized or caused by a loss of elastic fibers and results in chronic airflow obstruction. Asthma is a chronic process that's characterized by a reversible narrowing of the airways. Asthma, of course, is reversible. Emphysema is not. The next slide illustrates what happens at the end of the terminal bronchioles. As we indicated, they are lined by the simple epithelium and constitute the last conducting portion of the respiratory system. Terminal bronchioles become continuous with respiratory bronchioles, which are periodically interrupted by alveolar ducts or sacs in their walls. The lining epithelium of the terminal bronchioles, again, is characterized by a cuboidal epithelium and Clara cells. Goblet cells are obviously missing because the Clara cells are taking over their secretory activity.